Hey guys, what's going on? Jet Fan here again. Tirpitz setup and Henry J. Hyde on the screen. If you don't have Hyde, I'd recommend Celiax. That's my choice. This is a little bit of a hybrid build. That's what makes Hyde very strong. It's commander choice. So if you can get Hyde, and if you have Hyde, I like him on this build. But I also am a big fan of Celiax. So um, once again, if you don't have Hyde, Celiax is the way to go. This setup, and you'll see in this game, this is basically showcase that this Hyde build can be effective at range, and you don't have to play your Tirpitz like a suicide torping and suicide rushing ship. There's a big problem with that, where people get in these battleships, these German battleships, and they just want to push right away. And there is a play for that. There's a time for that play, but you have to know what situation exists in a game. So here's a perfect example. I know that the Vladivostok has a broadside. If I were to come around the corner, I'm not going to go around the corner. I have to run the hooks. I'm trying to limit the number of targets that can shoot me while still being a damage attractor. So our cruisers and destroyers are not getting focus fire. So it's a fine line. And so you're going to see that island, the Amalfi's coming out. There was a Mogami. If you remember, you saw Mogami come around the corner. That Nagato is still pushing. I don't know what that Nagato is doing, but that's not the best angling, we'll just say, for the Nagato. So I'm trying to limit the Vladivostok's ability to shoot broadside because I want to stay angled to this Nagato. And as you see, I already have 27,000 damage because this setup and that dispersion is not that bad. I mean, let's be honest, that is not horrible dispersion. As I say that, I only get one standard penetration, so of course the game throws it back in my face once I start to praise it. So again, we're going to pull up here. This map is all about basically trying to protect your side, in my opinion. I think it comes down to kind of engaging. Once you try to get a little bit of an advantage, then it's time to push. If you feel like it is. And the great shot there by the CNOP. So, but as I was saying earlier, I think this map is all about just winning your side, and at the same time being mindful and conscious of what your friendly side opposite is doing. Reason being is because, let's say for example, we mop up on this flank and we do very well, and we're chasing the enemy off in the distance and whatever, but they do the same thing on the other side and they get on the base first, and we don't, we're not in a position to counter. Then we're in a world of hurt, and we can lose a game that we probably could, we would be up a chip count or whatever it is, So it's know when to push, but it's also know when it's time to go back and protect the base, and you're gonna see that a little bit here. I'm getting a little frustrated here because the Amalfi is throwing some fire at me, throwing some HE, and I understand that that's a viable play for cruisers, and the Amalfi is very good at it because Amalfi has that rolling smoke. So Amalfi's dangerous ship. I'm going to have something coming out on the Amalfi probably later this week. But back to this Tirpitz game. So you're seeing the heals. The heals are big with this Hyde build. And the heals are the main reason why I like the Celiax build. Heals in the secondary range. If you remember, and if you'd like, you go back to the beginning of the video and pause it. My mod selection. I have secondary mod on here, okay? And then on Hyde, I also have the secondary mod. A lot of people like that, the Ali dot or the minimum ricochet angle one, or gyrating drill bits. But I like the secondary range because when it is time to push and it is time to get into a brawl, 8.3 kilometer secondary range, which you may think, oh, that's not that much, that's this, that's that. When it comes time to get up close and personal, you have to start brawling, with destroyers and cruisers. It helps a lot to have that because that's just going to help keep them off of you while you're pushing enemy cruisers or battleships. So finally, there you go. Get a good salvo, depth strike, up to 66,000 damage, and the Amalfi's off the board. So we're doing a pretty good job on this flank. I am trying to basically gauge right there what the rest of the map looks like. I'm trying to use the arrow, the line of sight indicator, and just kind of get a vague idea of where our friendly ships are on the map and where the enemies are, because I don't want to push if they're doing some serious work on their side. And if you look at the score count, you look at the map, we're doing pretty good right now. We're in a good shape overall as a whole team. So me and the CNOP are basically thinking the same way. We're both going to make our move. We're both going to push hard against the Vladivostok and the Mogami. So we start making our move here. Tirpitz is, I think, a good choice at tier 7. I don't think it's great, but I think it plays well enough. And the torpedoes are a threat. And if you know what you're doing in the ship, you can be effective. Again, try to play like you only have 2 front guns unless the target is not paying attention to you at all. And you still see this as German dispersion, as I completely whiff on the Vladivostok. But I like to play this ship similar to how I play Gneisenau, which is more wedge. You like to wedge into a spot, force people to have to come after you, and when they do, you can push them and torpedo them. Don't get into a long chase in open water, won't go well. And on the flip side of that, what I've been saying on this channel is, if you have a Tirpitz coming after you, if you have a Scharnhorst, a Odin, insert torpedo battleship name, do not close the gap. Do not close the distance on them. If you're facing them and you don't want, or you do not have the opportunity to turn around, throw it in reverse and force them to basically have to close the distance at a much slower pace. It gives you time to react. It gives you time to get salvos and shells on them, and at the same time, it gives your team the opportunity to throw shells at them as well. And the further you draw them in, the more likely a friendly will have a broadside shot on them. So that's how I like to deal with torpedo threats. Do not turn out unless it's an absolute necessity. Reason being is, when you turn out, you're going to give them broadside. And you get a lot of people, when you play the way that I like to play in this, where I'm not really even going for the torpedo threat. I'm going to try to create panic and make somebody uncomfortable and make them make a mistake. This Vladivostok is playing with fire. It's only a matter of time, and there's one citadel. Up to 88,000 damage. We got 1 sinking and a dev strike. So our team is doing a good job basically making a whole map, cross map push on both sides. Red's got pretty much run off the board here. There's another citadel. There's another sinking. We're 2 sinkings, 6 citadels. So you're seeing the power of this hide build. It is viable with the secondaries. I know you only seen 1 secondary hit on there, but I wanted to showcase that even when I'm not brawling in this, you can still be an effective battleship. You can still be an effective damage attractor. You can still be an effective damage dealer. So you see, if you look at the map, they have a Nagato going up the gut. I popped my last heal, so I'm going to turn back. Why? Well, I don't really feel like trying to sail after a destroyer, but I am going to be mindful of getting those guns on the angle of the destroyer. And you see I was spotted, so obviously this destroyer must be just past that portion of the island, which I highlighted on the map, so the friendlies know. I'm going to go back to the base. It's never a bad play to go back and defend your base. Of course, there are situations where being aggressive and attacking may make more sense, but as a general rule, defending your base is not a bad play. Benson pops up here. He's going to get focus fired. You look at all the salvos going in. I was trying to get the turrets to rotate, and then he's going to absolutely get slapped. I mean, at that point, I said, all right, well, they got him, and Benson actually takes out the late terrible, but Benson goes down here in a minute. I'm sure he's got maybe 500 HP left. So the Gado's sitting in our base. I'm going to try to make a push, and I want to get rid of him. He is giving me a pretty juicy angle here. Pretty flat broadside, and I want to just, put a good showing on the board at the very end here. Again, I'm not putting up some ripper games, I'll do once in a while, but I just like to show when the team plays well together, when people make good plays, and when builds that people think need to play a specific way don't necessarily have to play that way, and misconceptions can be, shown. So this Tirpitz, the reason why I put this game up is for that exact reason. I wanted to show that this can be a standard battleship. You don't have to use the torpedoes all the time. You don't have to be a giant destroyer in the sense that where you're only using your torpedoes. You're not a giant Fubuki, okay? You can use the main guns. You can be dangerous. You see another 11k salvo, and the Gado goes down. Or 25,000 damage, 2 sinkings. Could have had more, but again, I hope you guys liked this video. This was a showing of the main gun ability for the Tirpitz. 2,000 base XP. We'll see you next time, guys.